So at this point, I finally felt ready to go hunting for a Christian church home, a place to go to church regularly that I thought taught the truth as defined in the Bible. So earlier in the series, I discussed my friend Jackie, the friend that backslid and left the United Pentecostal Church. Now, I'd mentioned she left the church, but she never stopped being a Christian, but at my old mindset, that was backsliding. And when she had told me originally, I was really upset and very hesitant to talk to her about the various concerns she had. But as I was going through this process, I kind of realized that she was right. And so she ended up being a big help during this time. She had gone through this period where she had gone church hunting as well and tried various churches, and she told me she found a Baptist church that she really liked. And so, the prospect of attending church with my friend again was positive, but we lived about 45 minutes apart. So I wasn't sure if I was going to make that drive to her church regularly, but I certainly put Baptist as one of the churches I wanted to try. At this time, I was looking at different denominations. I was studying their backgrounds. I was studying what their basic doctrines were. I was kind of deciding, okay, what sort of things do I want to try? What things do I rule out completely? I come up with a list of questions that I wanted to ask pastors. I emailed some pastors with some of these questions, most of them relating to the questions I've been asking during the series. So I decided to try a Baptist church first, one near me. Overall, I had a very good experience the first time I tried that church. The only issue I really noticed right offhand that bothered me was they discussed how they were going to door-to-door advertising their summer camp for children, which sort of made me, kind of twitch a little bit because of my concerns about children that I discussed earlier in the series. But I had to remind myself, okay, maybe this church isn't as extreme in their views. I don't know all their views yet. I don't know what they teach kids. I was a little confused as to why they would target children as opposed to targeting adults. Why not try to convince adults? But I wasn't going to leap to conclusions, so I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt about that. So I liked that church, and I decided to check out, how often they had services, what other things they provided. And I noticed they provided a Bible study on Wednesday nights. They didn't have Wednesday night church service like my old church did. So I went to their adult Bible study. Around this time, my friend Jackie, I told her I went to this Bible study and that I liked it. And she said that one of our mutual friends was actually going to host a Bible study at her house, and she was Methodist, which I thought, great. I don't want to just commit to one thing yet. I want to kind of look at multiple things and compare and decide which one was best representative of the Bible and the truth. And my friend Jackie, was going to go too. I found that really interesting. And I met the pastor, which was actually a woman, which was totally new to me. I immediately really liked her. And she was a very, I'd say a liberal Christian. She was very progressive in her views. She discussed some of her views. She had mentioned she was against a lot of the more extreme versions of Christianity that, are portrayed in the media a lot. And I mean, she was even pro-choice. She was pretty liberal in her politics. She was a woman minister. I mean, this was a complete departure of what I was used to. And I was like, wow, somebody who is really informed about the Bible and who really believes this stuff and has completely different views than where I came from. So now I was going to Bible study twice a week, and I was trying to go to a church service somewhere. I went to the Baptist church near me once. I went to the Baptist church with my friend Jackie once. I was going to try a bunch of other different denominations, but I was kind of trying to digest a few doctrines at a time. So this Bible study I was going to with the woman minister, we decided to read this book called Am I Saved, which I thought was completely appropriate. I was like, oh, this is perfect. This will give me a good overview of kind of what she believes and what is the doctrine that they teach and how well does it line up with the Bible. And I was very surprised. Very quickly, I realized that the book was teaching that everyone was saved. Everyone. No exceptions. That was such a vast departure from what I'd been taught before. You know, like I went from only people in this denomination are saved to everybody's saved. And I was very skeptical because I had been very convinced, even though I didn't like that hell existed, I couldn't get around the fact that the Bible certainly taught about it. But I very quickly realized that removing hell from the picture, removing hell from the Christian equation, definitely did change the dynamic. Taking hell out of the picture really actually sounded like a really good thing, because to me that wouldn't deter me from wanting to follow God. I wasn't doing it just to avoid hell. I mean, I wanted to avoid hell, but that was not the reason. It definitely changed the focus to, I want you to come to my church because I want to save you from hell, to, I want you to come to my church because I want you to hear this loving, good news that God has saved you, and I want you to celebrate that. Change it to actually being good news. I mean, good news is not, you know, a bunch of people you know are going to hell. That's not really good news. And good news, you're going to heaven if you do this, but everyone else, no. It didn't seem like very good news to me. But this, you know, this seemed to line up better with the God is all loving, God is all powerful, God wants everyone to be saved, and God wants you to feel His love, and God wants to pursue you. And these were the kind of things that I was reading. And I didn't know if I agreed with everything yet. I was still kind of in the, you know, convince me kind of stage. But I liked it. I certainly liked it. I thought that the concept of you're going to burn in hell forever because you don't believe in what I believe is not a very moral concept. But if it was true, then I was going to have to deal with the fact that it was true. But I was glad I was reading this book because it was giving me another perspective to try to look at and decide, you know, okay, what are they saying about the Bible, and what is their justification in this book. Now, I will go over more about this reading and some of the other things I was studying later in the series. But this was what I was starting to kind of think about around this time. But I still believe in Jesus. I still believe in God. None of that was up for question. I still believed in the Bible. I still was trying to follow Christ. I didn't expect Christ to you know, ordain my every step, but I believe God told me to leave that church, and God is going to intervene if He needs to, if I'm going the wrong direction. But I was really happy with how things were going in my life, and I remember thinking, you know, my life hasn't been perfect, but I can't really complain. This is the best things have ever been. I'm really starting to get happy. I remember thanking God for everything that I had. And yeah, I didn't have all the doctrine stuff figured out yet, and I didn't have all that stuff figured out, but I was going to follow truth wherever it led me, and I was not afraid of facing that. And I believe that God would be there with, you know, throughout all of that. Little did I know things would drastically change.